I cannot hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Welcome to English Without Borders. Dear all, we are happy to see you. And today we are hosting Mamura Alimova. And today she will talk about using performance-based assessment in assessing EFL learners. Welcome to English Without Borders, Mamura. So we are very happy to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and of course, like, you know, we are English Without Borders is extending the borders, and right now we are inviting speakers from different countries. And Mamura Alimova, she is the head of the department at Yeoju Technical Institute in Tashkent, Namangan branch. She graduated from the Uzbek State World Languages University in 1993 through her involvement in countless projects organized by British Council. Mamura Alimova has established herself as an important contributor to the field of English language teaching in Uzbekistan. Mamura has also taken part in teaching materials design group that culminated in the publication of the textbook B2 Ready. She is a member of a big access micro scholarship program family. She lives in Andijan with her family, and in her free time, she shares time with her family members. She likes to read novels and cooking. Once again, big thank you for your agreeing to do a webinar with English Without Borders, dear Mamura. And with great pleasure, I'm giving the floor to you. Over to you. Thank you so much. Dear audience, please use this chance to ask your questions to our speaker. So we'll be addressing those questions after the presentation to Mamura. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nasiba. It was a great introduction. Thank you. Now let me start with sharing my PowerPoint. Okay, now. Okay. Good afternoon. It's already good evening. Sorry. Good evening, dear colleagues in Tajikistan. I'm very happy to be part of this project and to be together with you in this nice days and to present and to share my experience on using performance-based assessment and assessing EFL learners together with you. And as Nasiba introduced me, I'm Mamura Alimova, and I work in Namangan. I work at Yeoju Technical Institute in Tashkent, Namangan branch. But before this, I worked at Namangan State University, and I conducted my research that I want to share with you the results. And I conducted it at Namangan State University with pre-service teacher trainer students. It means like pre-service students with future English language learners. And let me start why I want to show this, like 21st century skills. You know, we are living in 21st century, and this century is asks us or requires us to learn about lots of things. Before, like people only learned how to speak it and then how to show it, but now we should know everything in order to survive in this like century like world, you know, 21st century. And as you know that in 21st century, we have three important C's. These three important C's are creativity, collaboration, and critical thinking. And one thing why I'm first sharing these things with you. The reason for this is, you know, before, like till this day also, we always think about language teaching, but designing materials, and how to teach these materials and how to learn these things. We always, when we think about this creativity, collaboration, and critical thinking, we only think about how to design tasks for using creativity and how to design, for example, tasks and what kind of tasks to use in order to ask our students to work collaboratively or to ask them to use their critical thinking. But we never thought about, or we never think about, what about assessment? According to the rules of assessment, we should assess whatever we teach. And this, like, you know, this brings to the question, if we are using in the classroom creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, why not to assess these skills also in the classroom? And mostly, I don't know about, I think in Tajikistan also, maybe it's same, maybe in Uzbekistan, we usually when we assess students, we think about assessing their, for example, reading or their listening. And we also think about assessing their vocabulary and grammar by using multiple choice questions. And usually when we do this, students, we only check their knowledge and most of the skills, or we only check their reading, but we really do not check their creativeness. Because we give them reading task and we ask them to find the answers for the questions in the task. But we do not think about the using the knowledge in a real life, or how to use transferable skills or how to implement transferable skills into the real learning, you know? And let's first of all clarify what is performance-based assessment. As most of you know, performance-based assessment, as it is given in here from Hibert's definition, it represents a set of strategies for the application of knowledge, skills, and work habits through performance of tasks that are meaningful and engaging to students. This means when we, for example, assess our students now in a traditional way, we try to assess students' knowledge, learned knowledge, but we do not assess work habits, for example, or we do not assess the skills, what skills are they need or do they need in order to function properly in future after graduating the, for example, university or an institution. And this is very important to think now in 21st century, that we, or the places, workplaces, or as we call stakeholders, usually pay attention to the students' performance. They always say, oh, graduates' performance, they can perform this task, okay, let them do this. And then we thought about let's use performance-based assessment in our classrooms. Let's implement this. And I did this action research when I was studying at Oregon University online English, advanced English language teachers course. And this action research was done during those times. And it was done, it took us to do this research for 2 years. And we did our first literature review part, and we thought about needs, why should we include this, and then we tried to find out enough literature in order to prove that this is needed and this is the thing that we should implement now into the classroom. And first of all, let's talk about what does performance-based assessment involve. It involves authentic use of the language. It means like the student who performed this task, they should use authentic language. For example, if the student, for example, the task is project or design a model. For example, one of my students, she was studying at as a student of preset, but she was very good model. She was interested in designing clothes, ladies' clothes. And while doing her project, she learned how to use, how to do, and how to, for example, use authentic English in designing this material or presenting this model, her model. And she tried to use authentic language in the when she was performing. And another skill that is very much needed is higher order thinking skills. Of course, students are required to think deeply in order to fulfill the task of that we are giving. And next one is measurement of multiple objectives and different concepts. It means usually when we give objective for our tests, we usually say, oh, okay, I will test my students' reading skill, that's all. Or sometimes we say, oh, I will check my students like listening, how to listen like short notes, or how to listen to, for example, authentic, like, of course, we will check authenticity, but usually we do not give them like multiple objects. We only think about one objective. But performance-based assessment gives teachers also, or the students also, to fulfill their task by thinking about multiple objectives. They should, for example, speak, they should use the language fluently. And second one is they should use the language accurately also. And the third one is they should use the vocabulary that is from the content of their project, on their like work, from the topic. And these all are the examples of multiple objectives. And next one is collaboration. If students or if graduates in the future, if they want to work in at different places, for example, my graduates were future teachers, English teachers. They of course work in different schools, and in different schools they cannot survive only oneself. They should work collaboratively with each other. And in order to work collaboratively, they should also know how to collaborate well with each other and how to design the tasks all together, not only me, but with others. And this also is one example of using PBA. And next one is creative and innovative thinking. Of course, when you ask your students to do some presentations or to prepare for debates and for different kind of performance-based assessment tasks, they use their creativity, and also they use innovative thinking. They also think, what should I do in order to get the interest of my audience, for example, if they are giving presentations. And if they're doing their project, also they think, oh, how should I encourage or get the attention of my listeners? And this also asks them to think innovatively. And the last one is critical thinking and problem solving skills that are very, very important nowadays. And in order to solve different problems, for example, my students were as I said, future teachers. Usually we teachers have lots of problems in the classroom, and they should know how to solve these problems. And by doing this kind of like tasks, performance-based assessment tasks, they also learn solve the problems. Also, they learn how to find the solutions. And now we will talk about different tasks. And you can see from this the slide that tasks include presentations, portfolios, performances, projects, exhibits and fairs, and debates. As you know, presentations, it's clear for you all. Portfolio is also clear, but what about performances? What do they do in performances? They prepare role plays for mid-course, for example. For mid-course, they prepare, students will work in 3 or 4s, and they prepare role play. And sometimes they prepare simulations. And in projects, you know, as I also mentioned above, that one of my students prepared, like she designed very good dress, and then she explained the whole process of doing this. And she also explained it in front, and she also gave a presentation in front of the audience and in an exhibition. You know, we had a tourism fair, and in that fair, all our participants, students had a chance to present their work in front of people. And this was also like this is also a very good opportunity for them to show their skills in front of, and then we may also assess their skills. And we have our criteria that how can we evaluate, because it's not so easy to evaluate this all tasks, you know. Usually it's very easy for teachers to evaluate multiple choice, because multiple choice has one answer, or true false, just one answer. They will take it very quickly, like they can check and then give a point, but it takes some time, much time. However, if you record them, it's not difficult, and you see the process, because this assessment not only happens at the end of a course or at the end of doing something, but it happens during, and it also involves the process. And you know what your students are doing during the process, and how they can how can we fulfill the task. Sometimes even the lower level students also feel confidence, because they try for several times in order to show their skills, they perform, and then this also helps them to feel confidence, to feel more confident, you know, in future. And now let me share with findings of our action research. And in action research, my question was, what are the washback effect of implementing 21st century skills into classroom by using performance-based assessment on students, like speaking skills, assessing students' speaking skills, you know? This was my question. How can I implement this? I should implement 21st century skills and assessment together, and how can I do this? And then from the literature review, we found out that performance-based assessment helps these two things come together, and two things work together, and this was very, very helpful. And now I used two data collection tools. The first data collection tool was like a small group conference for students. And my students who were like, you know, at the beginning, we chose two groups of students. One group was the project group, as we said, it's experimental group. And the second group was traditional group, the group that was assessed according to our syllabus, you know, according traditional way. And at the beginning, we asked the question. I didn't put here the beginning questions, but at the beginning, we asked the questions from the students about how do they feel about assessing. And most students, they said they were even frustrated from being assessed. They were afraid of and nervous. And they said they didn't like to be assessed, you know. And then we asked about the washback effect. Did you, for example, this assessment helped you to develop further? And they said, no, I was demotivated. Some students said, I got very low, usually low level students said, I got low score and I didn't want to study anymore. But some students said, oh, I got a high score and I am motivated. Okay. High level students, they are always motivated. But what about other students? Because we have we usually have heterogeneous classes, you know, from different like levels. Our students are from different levels, and their English also is not the same. And we got some very nice answers also, but most answers said that they had negative effect, negative washback of their testing. After conducting like this data collection, gave us lots of information about the students' like success, you know. They said while answering the question number 1, like learned from the project, they said lots of things. Some of them said that they learned how to do things in a real life. Because in order to get the answer for their questions, they went to different places. For example, the student who designed the model, she went to the studio where they make dresses, you know, and they talked to the dressmakers a lot, and then they learned real life working skills. And she said that, and then some of my students also said that they learn how to work with team, how to manage the team, because they were in small groups and they were from different, and usually when we assign the team, we try to assign different level students in one team. And also they also said that they learned how to work with each other. And then how this task improved your language transferable and intercultural awareness skills. And some students said that they learned a lot, and they also learned about culture, and they also learned, as I said, transferable skills, that they learned the skill or knowledge in the classroom, and they tried to implement this knowledge in outside in a working place. And next one was, what problems have you faced during the work? They answered for this question fully. They said that at the beginning they couldn't work together. And then after some time, they tried to get along and with each other. And they did lots of literature research. For example, for presentation, they did some literature research, and then they found review, and then they found lots of information, and they didn't know how to gather important information. And while working on the process, they said that they learned a lot. And how is the assessment task different from the traditional multiple choice questions? They answer also these questions that they were enjoying doing the task. They thought that they were just doing the task, not being assessed. They even didn't notice that they were being assessed. And the other questions were also answered, and we got lots of answers. And in data collection tool 2, we did this with teachers, because 4 teachers were involved in our project, and these 4 teachers were teachers of those groups, for those students, and they are also they also at the same time, together with the students, they learn how to implement project-based, performance-based assessment into the classroom. And at the same time, also, they learn how to design these tasks, and how to implement, and how to get the results, and how to assess these skills with the help of the tasks that were given by the project. And teacher interviews, these interviews were recorded, and I looked through all their records, I listened, and then we tried to find out, and we got lots of data. I will also show the data later, but the questions were in this interview: how do you feel about assessing students' speaking skills with the help of projects? You know, most teachers, if I ask this question now from any teacher, they say, oh, it's kind of a confusing. Sometimes I cannot, I don't know how to assess the process. For example, which student worked on which and how. But, you know, we decided to assess product differently and the process differently. In our criteria, we had the criteria for product, how it was designed, for example, if it's a presentation or poster presentation. And we also assessed the product. What was the role of a student, and how did she fulfill this task? And we had different criteria, and I may share these criteria if you like later. And then the question, how comfortable do you feel about using performance-based assessment in your lessons? Most teachers said at the beginning it was difficult. Of course it is difficult, but then they said that their students enjoy, and they they also noticed that students even didn't feel that they were being assessed, being observed, and being assessed. They even didn't notice this. They enjoyed doing this, and they were very happy at the end when they got the results. And what problems have your students faced while? And then also these questions were also answered by teachers. And now let me share the results of our work. And here we have, you can see the table. Now the blue one represents teachers, and the yellow one is the students. And here we have like 4 teachers were involved and others were students. And you know, how did they feel about presentations? You know, students loved presentations very much. They have higher results, but teachers also love it, but they had little bit difficulty in assessing. Of course, it's not so easy, but our main purpose is not only assessing students. Our main purpose is preparing our students for real life. If real life requires these skills, why not teach and assess these skills? And teachers were happy with this point. And portfolios, you know, portfolios are usually collected during the whole semester sometimes, yeah. And these portfolios were collected all, and students also again shows the higher, because you know, students are also learners. They are human beings. They want very much to get some encouragement from teachers. And when you give them feedback, nice feedback, and when you encourage them that you are developing your skills, they feel very happy. And they were in portfolio. When we did portfolios, we always gave constructive feedback to every part of their work. And they were very happy that we are paying attention to every part of their work. And they were very happy, and they did it with like, you know, pleasure. And performance role plays, you know, both teachers love it, and the teachers' results and the students' results, they were the same, you know, they both, it was also like not bad. It was also successfully conducted. Projects. Students loved this very much. Project was showed the higher results, because in their like answers, they said that they could share their skills that is not only related with language, their personal skills, their, for example, professional skills. Some of them could make very good posters and different. They use their creativeness. Some of them use their artistic ability, and they said that they could show all their skills, and they could perform whatever ability they have inside, in front of people, in front of teachers, and they were very happy by this, by projects. And what about exhibits and fairs? This task also was, conducted with the help of our teachers and together with students. And the result of the task, as a result of a task, we organized big tourism fair where we invited our parents, students' parents, their friends, and lots of people, and teachers from other departments also. They all came, and they were participating in a fair. They showed their results, they talked, and they gave presentation about their, for example, things. And then this fair was very, very useful also for students, because students loved it. And they also said that they felt more confident in front by giving talk in front of their parents, guests, and other friends. And the last task about debates, also, you know, teachers love debates. I don't know, but in our case, teachers love debates very much, because teachers also brought lots of interesting topics for students, and even they said, oh, let's use debate for this task also, and said, okay, yeah, but we're doing project, not this time. Let's use this, and then see which one works well with the students. Then we can decide which one to choose for the further, like further designing designing syllabus, designing assessment specifications. And students also they also enjoyed doing this. And traditional groups, they didn't use these tasks. That's why I do not have like data of traditional groups. They use their own tasks, multiple choice and true false, and some speaking and questions and answers. And they said that in traditional classes, when they observed this experimental groups performances in fair, in projects, in different like way, they said that they were very much interested in doing this. And in a very nice like result was our students were very happy to get this opportunity to express themselves in front of people, or express themselves in front of their students, and say whatever they learned during the course to others. And this was also very, very helpful for our like students and for our teachers also. And now let's look at the two types of like assessment. First one is performance-based assessment types. Second one is traditional way of assessment. And we know, and I think you all know about them, and that I don't want to pay much attention to this, and because we know that in a traditional way, we usually use this all things like this, multiple choice, gap filling, closed tests, short answer tests, essays, true false tests. And of course, essays, you may say that essay may develop critical thinking. Yes, it may develop critical thinking, but it will not give our, in our case, we assessed speaking of the students. That's why it was very important for them to use not this kind of like tasks, like speaking tasks, in order to show their ability. But these tests are also useful, as we say, but it is up to the objective of a teacher what to develop in the course. And next one, I think the time is first here, guidelines in developing performance-based assessment. Here I share some guidelines of and what should we do and how to develop this kind of assessments. Here I gave 7 questions, like what are the performance outcomes being assessed? Like if we are assessing performance, but what outcomes we should assess? Or what outcomes should be assessed, and what standards are aligned with these performance outcomes. When we think about our syllabus, when we design our syllabus, we think about outcomes, learner outcomes. According to the learner outcomes, we should also design this assessment like tasks. How will you set the context for the task and engage students in authentic and relevant ways? You should also be very careful thinking about these points, because it's very, very important. These 2 points are very important for designing. And again, you should go to your outcomes, learner outcomes of your syllabus. Okay, and what materials, resources, these are usually, if it's a performance-based assessment, it means that materials and resources are from real life. They will find all from real life. They will use different kind of like newspaper articles or anything that it's up to the task. And what about scoring system? Of course, it's very, very important. And then how will you meet the needs of your diverse students? This is very important point to think, because usually in one class we have different students, and diverse students usually is a problem. It's a kind of a the problem that we usually try to answer with the differentiated instruction, usually, yes, in the classroom. And but how can we help our students by using performance assessment, performance-based assessment. We should think about this because students have not only knowledge of reading or speaking, but they also have knowledge or skills, their own skills, that they have talents, different talents. And thank you for your attention. This is the end of my presentation, and I'm eager to answer your questions if you have any. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mamura, for very extensive information and interesting presentation that you delivered. We highly appreciate that. Thank you so much. And let's open the floor to questions and answers. So we also have audience who are watching us on Facebook. And this webinar is recorded right now and will be posted on Facebook. So many people will have access to that. Once they like our page on social media on Facebook, they will be able to see the recorded webinars. So, okay, so let's open the floor to questions and answers. And the first question that we received, how do you integrate reading tasks within the performance-based task activities?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. It's very nice question. How to integrate reading with performance-based? Usually, readings convey information. They convey content. They learn something from the reading. Students usually read something like article or test, and then they should discuss, or they should come up with ideas, or they should think about the issues that is given in a reading task. And I usually ask my students, read the text and get the information and think about from your point of view, how do you do this? For example, if the reading is about environmental problems, then think about how can we preserve our nature or for our environment. And then, of course, after reading this, they can do small project on this. For example, they can visit sites where they have some problems. For example, lots of rubbish, and they can take some photos, and then they can bring it to the classroom and make it, and then give their own solution and present their own solution.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Thank you so much. So we have next question. Okay, just let me scroll up. How do you assess individual students in presentation, project work, performance, and other group related work?
Okay, one thing is, it's as we said, it was very difficult for my novice teachers also to assess, for us all, to assess the individual students in a group work. But in a performance-based assessment, you do not assess the student in one lesson. It is performance-based. It means it involves process. And during the process, in every class, for example, when they prepare for the task, like you will give them 10 minutes or 15 minutes to discuss about their findings. And during those time, I try to record them, because it's impossible to listen to them and assess, for example, 4 students at one time. It's a good way is recording them and then assess individual. But I have criteria for assessing students in a group work, and I may share this if you write to my email. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much, Mamura. We have next question from Abror. He's asking, any suggestions in assessing critical thinking skills?
Okay, yeah, there are, as we said, during our project, we had lots of tasks that can help our students to think critically, and we gave, for example, we gave them task or problem We gave them problem, and then we asked our students to try to find the solution for this problem, and they should use their critical thinking in order to solve these problems. For example, if the problem is my students were future teachers, and then the question, one of the task was, one of your students never participates in your classroom. What will you do? Now, this is a really good, harsh question for the future teacher, but they try to find out, first of all, they try to find out, they do literature review, they try to find out lots of information, and then from this literature review, from the ideas of their others, then they have their own ideas. Why this way? But let me think in this way. This means they use their critical thinking in any way because they should think critically in order to involve and find the way of the solution of the problem.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. We have next question from Salima Mamadova. She's asking, is there any scale for assessing academic performance of students?
Academic performance of students. Wow, this is something that is kind of a general, because in one subject, because we took only listening and speaking class, in one subject you cannot assess students' academic performance, because academic performance involves academic reading, academic writing, and lots of academic things that asks us to do lots of professional tasks related with your profession. That's why I think there is no one scale that we can assess in our project. We do not have this scale, but generally maybe you can do when you teach the several lessons together. Otherwise, I think it's impossible with the help of this one subject.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mamura. Next question comes from Bhakti Begim. She's asking, how do you measure students' learning, which can help them to improve themselves for further learning?
Yeah, usually this is the question that we always think. Thank you very much for the question, because when we try to assess the students, the performance, usually it takes you, as I said, it takes the process. It takes maybe sometimes 3 months or sometimes 1 month, and during this month you see the results. The beginning of the assessment, the student was, for example, he couldn't speak about the topic, but at the end, after doing lots of research, after doing lots of searching and then finding information and presenting this information, they will learn a lot, and you can assess only this period. You can only assess the learning or the progress of a student during this period. And at the end, you can assess from a different point of view. It's up to your tasks, what kind of tasks you use. Okay, and it's easy. You can see, you can easily notice. Even at the end of the academic year, your students will talk a lot with you, discuss lots of things with you about the topics that even they didn't know about before. And they also use the language there that is incredible. Sometimes you do not believe that this is the student that was at the beginning of a course,
Yeah, thank you so much for a really good explanation. So we have next question. Karima Malakhova, she's asking, what is the first step in any performance improvement endeavor?
Endeavor?
Yes.
Yes, endeavor. Yeah. First step is usually you should, for example, from my point of view, we usually work with syllabus. And from our syllabus, we have there indicative content, and we have there learner outcomes. And your indicative content and learner outcomes will give you clear picture of what to do. and how to do. And these two things are interrelated, you know. You should, when you think about, oh, I should teach this thing, this skill, but students should be able to do this, or they should be able to write an essay, or for example, as an example. And then you should, first step will be what task you will choose. And first you should decide the task, and then according to your task, then you will develop the further steps, because every task has its steps. Project work has its framework, as you know. If you do some literature research, literature review, you find lots of information about how to implement project work or how to implement debates like this.
Yeah, awesome. So thank you very much. Next question. Munawar Zarifa is asking, do you use rubrics to assess your students' critical thinking skills?
Yes, we use rubrics. Yeah, rubrics are very useful, and we use rubrics while assessing presentation skills. When they present something in front of 5 minutes or 7 minutes presentation about their product, then we usually use rubrics. And these rubrics, as we know from different sources, from different like assessment tools, like you can see that we usually assess the fluency and the relevance of the topic, relevance of the information to the topic, and task fulfillment and others.
Yeah, thank you so much. So next question, how to design performance-based exam questions? Do you have any tips?
Okay, how to design? You know, it's not an exam question. It's an exam task, assessment task. For example, mid-course or final course. And designing is it involves lots of. You should know about what is performance-based assessment from the literature first of all. You should learn about it first, and then you should find out about the tasks and how to design the tasks for each task for the students. And you should also think about your students' level. That sometimes the task cannot be appropriate to the level of your students, or sometimes the tasks cannot be appropriate for the interest for your students. That's why when you design the task, think about assessment. It's an assessment task, okay? Not exam question, it's an assessment task. When you think about assessment, think about the interest of your students, level of your students, your learner outcomes, the objective of the course, and how these all things meet at the end. Because if they do not meet, then it's failed, and your students cannot reach their destination. In order to take them to destination, you should think about this too. And designing also involves lots of reading. Please, if you are a teacher, you will find lots of information, because we have we are living in a technology century. You find lots of information when you find from internet.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing your experience, Mamura. So next question, what challenges do you face in teaching English using performance-based tasks?
Yeah, we have lots of challenges, because our students do not get used on this. For example, when we tell them your assessment will be, you will be assigned by role play. And what most of the students will say, how you can assess me by role play, or how can I be assessed? Like, it's, you know, usually it's the most challenge is at the beginning. The number one challenge is at the beginning. Students that do not usually they do not even rely on the task, you know. Then you will show the process. You will in the process you will explain them that they are growing, they are doing better, because, you know, in a one sitting test, for example, multiple choice, in a half an hour they should do 30 questions, and they do not have any chance to improve themselves, to come back it again. But in a performance-based assessment, as it involves the process, they may go back and improve their skills and go back. And that's why when we have challenges, we should explain our students that they are learning. This is also a learning process. And I will tell you one term I forgot to say about this. Performance-based assessment assess for learning. But traditional assessment assesses of learning, for learning and of learning. Here in traditional, you will assess whatever they learn. But in a performance-based assess, you will say, how you are learning this, but you will do this in order to make it better. Let's think about the other skills that you want to improve. And with challenges, you will work in this way. You will say, oh, always it's difficult, but at the end, the result will be give them its fruitful like marks, you know.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. So we have more and more questions. So next question, since project work is a long activity, do you have phase-based assessment or you only assess the final work?
No, phase-based assessment. We also, you know, projects can be assessed during continuous assessment. We have continuous assessment, midterm assessment, and final. Usually we give this, for example, projects we give as a continuous assessment. And for midterm, we may we ask them to prepare or to make a presentation. And in a final, we ask them to write a reflective writing according to their project works, how they learned, and they will reflect their learning. What did they do from the beginning of the semester, for example? And this is also very, very useful because they reflect to every task they did during the semester, and they share their experience. What did they learn? What was challenging? What was not? What didn't work for them? What worked for them? And it is kind of we do it like this. That's why do not worry about the time. That project work takes much time, but okay, let them learn, let them do, let them experience, and then do it, read, experience, let them, and then give as a final result at the end.
Thank you. That's very, very interesting. So we have next question. Have you ever involved your students in developing the rubrics to assess their work?
As I'm teaching future English teachers, yes, it's one part of their, you know, course, materials design course, and assessment course. We have a separate module, assessment course. In a separate module, our students are asked to design their own rubrics according to the tasks of different syllabus, because I gave several syllabi to them, and then they look at their syllabi and then their objectives and goals, and then they design their own, they will choose one task and they will design their own rubrics for these tasks. It is involved usually.
Yeah, very, very interesting and informative. Like, you know, you are giving so many very interesting information that it really just, you know, helps us to think broader beyond the classroom and what we are going to deliver in the classroom to make the students, you know,
Yes.
acquire more and more transferable skills. Okay, so we have next question from the audience, I guess the last one. So what is your recommendation for avoiding subjectivity in assessment, particularly in performance-based tasks?
Yes, subjective, you know. The answer for this question is the whole presentation that I did today. Performance-based assessment. This assessment is usually it is not the objective like assessment. It's not, for example, we do not only assess the right answer, but it gives more subjective like how can we say, subjective parts that we can assess not only by one like answer, but by different ways of presentation we can assess. That's why for subjective assessing, I think all tasks of performance-based assessment, they answer for this question. That means that they are subjectively assessed by this.
Yeah, thank you so much. Next question. Can you share some success stories of your students based on your experience with using PBT?
Okay, now in my PPT, I do not have, I didn't include because it's half an hour, that's why I didn't include success stories of my students, but I may share them if they write my email. I will share them with my success stories of my students. I have.
Thank you so much. So another question, like you mentioned, that how to avoid subjectivity and how to remain objective in this case.
Yeah, how to remain the target. Yes. Okay. Yeah, this is very interesting. This is very interesting. It's up to the this is also, it's my answer, like my personal answer is, it's up to your task. What do you want to assess? What do you want to assess? If you want to assess your students' grammar or vocabulary, of course you keep the objective like assessing. It means like it's easier, but in my situation, in my context, mine was speaking. That's why I usually try to meet the subjective assessment, like it's sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Mamura Alimova. So, for delivering your presentation with English Without Borders Network. So it also opened a new page, for many, many teachers who had just all a few information about what is performance-based task and how to apply it in daily teaching. Thank you so much. It was very, very interesting. And yeah, using this moment, we would like to extend our gratitude on behalf of all followers of English Without Borders to you, dear Mamura, because as you noticed, we have our followers not only from Tajikistan, but also from different countries as well. So, and of course, using such kind of platforms is very, very good for exchange of information, for exchange of knowledge, for exchange of experience, and it will also just help many teachers, including us in Tajikistan, to learn best practices and also to be aware of new trends in teaching, and to do our best to be in line with with so many trends that are ongoing right now. Thank you so much, dear Mamura.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we hope that we will organize more webinars in the future, because exchange of experience is one of the best tools that we can invest in our colleagues and in our teachers nowadays. Thank you so much. And on behalf of English Without Borders, we are again extending our gratitude to all our followers who are watching us via Facebook, who are attending our webinars on Zoom. Thank you so much for being with us. And our big heartily hello from Tajikistan to all our followers all over the world. So stay with us. Thank you so much for being with us, for participating, for asking questions. We'll be staying in touch. Have a great evening, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.